Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the big ideas. Today, we're diving into the soft life. You've probably seen it online, right? Well, it turns out this viral trend is actually a pretty powerful, science-backed solution to burnout. To really understand the soft life, we have to start with this powerful idea from activist Tricia Hersey. She says, rest pushes back and disrupts a system that views human bodies as a tool for production and labor. So right away, this frames rest not as just being lazy, but as an active, really powerful choice against a culture that is always demanding more from us. So how did we all get so burned out in the first place? In this first section, let's unpack that shift from the complete exhaustion of grind culture to the gentle resistance of the soft life. This slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got grind culture, where hustling is a status symbol and being exhausted is somehow proof that you're worthy. And then on the other side, you have the soft life. Now, this movement actually started in the Nigerian influencer community, and it suggests this radical alternative. What if we prioritized internal harmony and peace over what everyone else thinks? And look, this isn't just some niche feeling. A recent workforce report found that nearly 3 in 5 of us, that's a huge number, feel the effects of burnout. That is a massive signal that the old way of doing things just isn't working for most people. Okay, so this feeling of just cultural exhaustion, it's not just in our heads. It has a very real biological cost. Now we're going to get into the science and look at the hormonal chaos that's actually happening inside your body when you're stuck in that grind. So let's meet the main character in the story of burnout, cortisol. Think of it as your body's built-in emergency alarm system. It's fantastic when there's a real, immediate threat. But what happens when that alarm gets stuck in the on position, day in and day out? Now this is where it gets really interesting. This slide shows what's called a domino effect. When your stress system is constantly firing, your body basically thinks it's in survival mode 24/7. So it starts shutting down other systems it considers non-essential for immediate survival. Things like, your reproductive health and your metabolism. And this is just a brilliant illustration of one of the core problems. Your body has this precursor hormone, pregnenolone. And under chronic stress, it literally raids the budget for essential hormones like progesterone to go pay its stress debt by making more cortisol. This steal is what leads directly to so many of those burnout symptoms we feel. So if chronic stress is disease, then what's the cure? Well, the answer seems simple, right? Rest. But as we're about to see, choosing to rest in our culture can be a pretty radical act. Let's get into the philosophy behind reclaiming your energy. Decades before soft life was ever a hashtag, the writer and activist Audre Lorde put it perfectly. She framed self-care not as a luxury, not as a treat, but as a crucial, non-negotiable act of survival. And get this constant pressure to just push through no matter what, it actually has a clinical name, John Henryism. It's named for the American folk hero, a steel driver who worked so hard competing against the machine that he won, but then died from the effort. And researchers have linked this exact coping style to really serious health problems, like hypertension. And this brings us right back to Tricia Hersey's idea of rest as a political refusal. Choosing to rest becomes this incredibly powerful statement. It's a refusal to play a game where your value is tied to how exhausted you are. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice? This section is all about a practical blueprint for bringing a little bit of that soft life philosophy into your actual real life, starting today. The absolute key here is to start small. I mean it. This is not another to-do list to get stressed about. It's about making tiny, intentional choices that signal safety to your nervous system. Whether that's blocking off rest time in your calendar like it's a meeting you can't miss, or just saying no to one little request, every single action is a step away from burnout. It's also so important to expand our definition of rest. It is not just about sleeping or taking a nap. It can be any activity that lets your mind and body downregulate and recover. It could be active, like going for a walk, or totally passive, like just daydreaming. The goal is restoration, not just being unconscious. All right, finally, we get to what might be the most important part of this whole journey, the final mindset shift. Because all the practical steps in the world won't stick if we don't change how we think about strength itself. This is basically a cognitive behavioral therapy technique in action.
It's all about consciously identifying those unhelpful and, let's be honest, untrue beliefs that grind culture has drilled into us. And then you actively replace them with beliefs that actually support your well-being and are rooted in biological reality. Rest isn't lazy. It is a physiological requirement for your body to repair itself. Period.
So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. The shift from hustle to harmony, from grind to grace, it really begins the moment we finally start listening to the signals our bodies have been sending us all along.
Because ultimately, what the cultural movement and the hard science are telling us is the exact same thing. For our hormonal health, for our mental health, a peaceful life isn't an indulgence. It is a